arresting anything. Call your sergeant. You don't have to arrest me, ma'am. I didn't do anything.
Get out. Let go. Let go.
They thought she was just being difficult, another driver refusing to comply. But they didn't know was who she really was. Officers in Edison responded to a call about a distressed woman. But when they approached Sarah, she remained calm, composed. I don't have to step out, she said. Call your sergeant. But instead of following protocol, they chose force. A window was shattered. She was dragged onto the asphalt, ignoring her cries that she couldn't breathe. Then came the charges for felonies. As they towed her car away, the officers laughed, thinking they had won. But 1 hour later, everything changed. The station was flooded with federal agents. Because Sarah wasn't just a driver. She was the daughter of the FBI director, and she had recorded everything. This wasn't just an arrest. It was evidence. Every officer involved was immediately fired and later indicted. Now the department is facing a $5 million lawsuit and a scandal that won't fade anytime soon. So the question is, did they cross the line? Should they go to prison? Yes or no?
This door, there's a lock up top.
An unusual scene unfolded at a local hotel. A room door had remained locked for over a day, with no response from the occupant. Concerned staff tried repeatedly to call and knock, but silence persisted. Police were called, and upon arrival, they cordoned off the hallway and urged the occupant to open the door. Minutes passed, and still the door didn't budge. Guests gathered at the end of the corridor, anxious and curious, watching the tense situation unfold. Some admitted they had never seen anything like it in a hotel. Officers quickly conferred, preparing for a potential emergency. Fearing something serious, they finally broke the lock to investigate. As the door swung open, everyone held their breath, waiting to discover what had happened inside. This rare incident immediately drew attention, with many witnesses recording every moment, turning a quiet hotel morning into an unexpected story. At first, the officers thought the man in the car was just a nosy witness recording their bribes. What they didn't realize was that he was actually the director of the FBI, quietly stationed at a border checkpoint as part of an undercover operation. For 3 years, he documented a pattern of corruption. Every bribe, every threat, all captured through hidden high-definition cameras. When the officers noticed the recording device, panic set in. One of them smashed the car window, dragged the man out, and put him in handcuffs. To cover their tracks, they even opened the trunk, planning to plant illegal drugs as evidence. But what they found instead froze them in place. Inside the trunk wasn't contraband. It was an FBI investigation file containing detailed records, including their own names and faces. The man they had just arrested wasn't a witness. He was their boss's boss. The investigation triggered a massive purge. Every officer involved was fired, and the city later paid nearly $10 million in a devastating lawsuit. According to the Government Accountability Office, arrests of border officers for corruption have risen by 15% over the past decade. The most common crimes include accepting bribes to ignore drug and human trafficking. So the question remains, when corruption runs this deep, is justice enough?
Nice, they broke my window.
Nope. Don't reach. Do not reach. Do not reach.
But I don't consent no search, no seizure of my vehicle.
A man quietly parked his car across the street, simply observing a police scene and recording with his phone. According to witnesses, he wasn't interfering with anything, just watching from a legal parking spot. But minutes later, officers noticed the camera. They immediately approached his vehicle, demanding identification and ordering him to stop recording. The man calmly refused, reminding them he was within his rights and had committed no crime. That's when things escalated. One officer suddenly smashed the car window. The man was dragged out of his vehicle and forced to the ground while repeatedly saying, "I do not consent to any search or seizure." But what the officers didn't know would soon turn the entire situation upside down. The man they detained wasn't just another civilian. He was an undercover FBI agent, one who was actually investigating allegations of police corruption. Once his identity was confirmed, the consequences were immediate. Every officer involved was fired. The investigation they were part of collapsed, and the city later agreed to pay a $3 million settlement funded by taxpayers. All because officers chose intimidation over the law. Now the question many people are asking is simple. When police abuse their authority, should they automatically face federal charges?
47.
Can't see it, can't smell it, but it can take a life in seconds. This is the reality officers face during what should be a routine traffic stop. Officer David begins a standard vehicle search. Nothing seems unusual until a small amount of residue is discovered inside the car. Suspected fentanyl. No warning signs, no labels, no visible danger. Within moments, something goes wrong. Her movements begin to slow. Her vision blurs. She stumbles, struggling to breathe. Confusion quickly turns into panic, and then she collapses. Backup rushes rushes in. They recognize the signs. Possible opioid overdose. Narcan is deployed immediately. Stay with me. Stay with me. Seconds feel like minutes. No response. Then, suddenly, gasp, cough, breathing returns. A life pulled back from the edge. Fentanyl doesn't need violence to kill. It only takes a moment of exposure.
Put your hands on your back.
Imagine this. Marcus is just picking up his 9-year-old daughter from school. Within minutes, he's in handcuffs. Why? The officers assumed he was an illegal immigrant based solely on his skin color. In the middle of a busy street, they force him to strip for a humiliating search. It wasn't about safety, it was an act meant to break him. Marcus stays silent, his eyes holding a secret the officers aren't ready for. Hours later, the truth comes out. The officers' faces go pale. Marcus isn't an illegal immigrant. He's not even an ordinary citizen. He holds a position that makes every officer in that room tremble with fear. What Marcus decides to do next in the name of justice will shake careers and change the law forever. The hunters have just become the prey. Should these officers face prison for what they
You're liable for that now.
Step out.
This morning, a shocking incident unfolded on a busy roadway, drawing widespread attention both on the scene and online. According to witnesses, local police officers approached a vehicle and ordered the driver to step out. When the driver failed to respond immediately, the situation escalated quickly. Officers proceeded to smash the car window, forcibly remove the man, and begin searching him, all while bystanders recorded the encounter on their phones. But just minutes later, the entire tone of the situation changed. The man calmly presented his identification, revealing that he was an undercover agent with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, commonly known as the FBI. The revelation left the officers momentarily speechless and stunned those watching nearby. Footage of the incident, including the shattered window and the moment his identity was revealed, spread rapidly across social media, gaining millions of views within hours and sparking intense debate. While some viewers questioned the officers' use of force and decision-making, others suggested the incident could lead to serious internal consequences. Authorities have since confirmed that a full review is underway, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation has reportedly requested a detailed account of the officers' actions. As the video continues to circulate, the incident is fueling public discussion about law enforcement procedures, accountability, and the risks of escalation in high-pressure situations.
5 teenagers attempted to bully a 16-year-old female shop assistant, but were successfully countered by the female shop assistant. On February 1st, 16-year-old Grace worked part-time at a pizza shop in New York State and was a professionally trained mixed martial artist. According to the video, the 5 teenagers got off the car and walked straight to the pizza shop. One of the girls was the first to enter the shop and had a verbal conflict with Grace, while the other girl was preparing to film the entire process of their bullying of Grace. At this moment, the girl in black launched an attack on Gracie first, but was stopped by her. She then grabbed the girl in black's hair and violently threw her to the ground, spinning her around before repeatedly hitting her face. Another girl tried to stop her but was also punched in the face. In the end, the video's shooter was also beaten in the chaos. The girl in black was diagnosed with an orbital fracture after being urgently sent to the hospital. According to the police report, Grace had a dispute with one of the girls on campus, who was angry and led 4 other teenagers to prepare to teach Grace a lesson. After reviewing the surveillance footage, the police determined that Grace acted in self-defense and therefore will not make any charges. The case is still under investigation. Do you think the behavior of this female
went live on Facebook to say that her body has been found? Earlier today, about an hour ago, people were live stating that they had found a body, and we were waiting for confirmation from the family, and her mother has confirmed the body has been found. Law enforcement was out there earlier today, and they haven't given much details, but it looks like the body was found floating in the canal, and after many days of searching, it was found. With tears, her mother stated that she's happy because she is now with God and that she has her body. She knows and she knew she wasn't going to get her back alive, but she just wanted her back with her. Just from yesterday, the friend stating that they should continue to look in the water, and it was found. So I don't know what's going to happen now.
It's very, very sad. My heart is broken forever.
Screaming and in tears, Lupita's mom went live on Facebook to say that her body has been found. Earlier today, about an hour ago, people were live stating that they had found a body, and we were waiting for confirmation from the family, and her mother has confirmed the body has been found. Law enforcement was out there earlier today, and they haven't given much details, but it looks like the body was found floating in the canal, and after many days of searching, it was found. With tears, her mother stated that she's happy because she is now with God and that she has her body. She knows and she knew she wasn't going to get her back alive, but she just wanted her back with her. Just from yesterday, the friend stating that they should continue to look in the water, and it was found. So I don't know what's going to happen now.
So Michael Jackson used his life to protect children, yet was misunderstood by the world as a criminal. Neverland, this mysterious place, was not as simple as the outside world thought. Recently, a previously undisclosed truth was revealed. In Neverland, Michael Jackson shielded children from the forces of darkness, keeping them away from the terrifying reality of Epstein's Island. He provided children with a sanctuary, protecting them from harm and abuse, yet was misrepresented by the media and the public as a criminal. He was falsely accused of abuse, while the real abusers remained undisclosed. Macaulay Culkin and other celebrities publicly defended Jackson, proving that he was not only a musical genius, but also a hero who fought for the safety and protection of children. He not only protected children from physical harm, but also helped celebrities like Britney Spears, offering her advice when she faced control from her father, protecting her freedom. Today, as more truths are revealed, we can finally see Michael Jackson for who he truly was, a hero who sacrificed for others.
She's safe, but she's scared. That's the update about Nancy Guthrie. As you've heard, ransom notes were sent into TMZ, which were then turned into the authorities. There was the one that was a fake. That guy was arrested. FBI agents on the presser yesterday on the 5th had said that they were still looking into the other one. Well, Savannah and her family had put out a statement saying that they were ready to talk to the kidnappers. Now, in this ransom note, they say that Nancy is safe but scared. And she knows exactly what the demands are, which is millions in Bitcoin, by the way. Of course, they're saying that if that isn't turned over, there's going to be consequential repercussions. Now, the first deadline has already passed. That was on Thursday. There is another deadline on the 9th. So also this must mean that they did do their homework about what medication she needs, or somehow when they got her, they found medicine and are administering it to her. But back to this note, they are also saying
that far left ATM breaking off pieces in the process. After several attempts, it knocks the machine over, and in the final act, the maroon truck swoops in, smashes it through, and steals it.
In this incident, we find that the skid steer that was used to take this ATM was stolen from a construction site near Smead. That vehicle was also stolen around October 26th in the 700 block of Secor.
Officer Prince Flores with the Toledo Police Department says the skid steer has since been recovered.
This is all that remains. We're seeing a set of wires here just left hanging out. And in the front here, tons of broken up pieces from the machine that were hit by that forklift.
I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. Ever since we purchased this building, we have been hit 3 times. Something's going on. It's not right.
2 football stars from the University of Washington attacked a classmate and spat at him after a road rage incident. The terrifying surveillance video shows that when the victim was about to ride away, a boy stopped him and abused him. At this moment, another boy walked down the staircase and pushed the victim to the ground with one hand. Subsequently, the 2 continued to spit at and abuse the man and even beat him. A few minutes later, one of the men also attempted to snatch the victim's bicycle, but failed. Ultimately, the 2 athletes left the injured boy in the stairwell and then sped away. After the victim called the police quickly identified the suspect through the list of the university football team. Tylen Rogers and Diesel Gordon, second-year students at the University of Washington, were arrested. It is said that Gordon and Rogers were sitting in a car at that time, driving behind Malone. The 2 kept honking their horns and shouted at Ma Long loudly, demanding that he leave the road. Then, Ma Long couldn't stand it any longer and spat at the car, and the situation began to deteriorate. At present, both of these boys have been suspended from competition. Gordon was charged with misdemeanor assault and was forced to serve 3 days in prison. Before the incident, Rogers was also facing sexual assault charges, and he will return to court for a retrial on Tuesday.
5 teenagers attempted to bully a 16-year-old female shop assistant, but were successfully countered by the female shop assistant. On February 1st, 16-year-old Grace worked part-time at a pizza shop in New York State and was a professionally trained mixed martial artist. According to the video, the 5 teenagers got off the car and walked straight to the pizza shop. One of the girls was the first to enter the shop and had a verbal conflict with Grace, while the other girl was preparing to film the entire process of their bullying of Grace. At this moment, the girl in black launched an attack on Gracie first, but was stopped by her. She then grabbed the girl in black's hair and violently threw her to the ground, spinning her around before repeatedly hitting her face. Another girl tried to stop her but was also punched in the face. In the end, the video's shooter was also beaten in the chaos. The girl in black was diagnosed with an orbital fracture after being urgently sent to the hospital. According to the police report, Grace had a dispute with one of the girls on campus, who was angry and led 4 other teenagers to prepare to teach Grace a lesson. After reviewing the surveillance footage, the police determined that Grace acted in self-defense and therefore will not make any charges. The case is still under investigation. Do you think the behavior of this female shop assistant was correct?
A 12-year-old boy picked up a shot put and violently hurled it at his sister's head, simply because she had stopped him from playing video games. Afterward, Liam Miller watched his unconscious sister and then picked up the game controller to continue playing. His sister, Santa Miller, lay on the floor for 4 full hours after being struck in the head. Throughout this time, Liam neither called for help nor alerted anyone, remaining completely absorbed in his game. It wasn't until Liam's father returned home from work that he discovered Sandra lying on the floor. He immediately rushed her to the hospital. Medical examinations revealed severe bleeding in Sandra's brain, compounded by the prolonged period she spent unconscious, although doctors fought to save her life. The extended brain hemorrhage left her at extremely high risk of becoming vegetative. Liam, however, lied to his father, claiming his sister had accidentally fallen and injured herself while he was asleep, and knew nothing about it. Unbeknownst to Liam, his father had installed surveillance cameras in the living room to protect his children, and this footage captured the shocking incident. Liam's father immediately called the police, who subsequently arrested Liam. Police revealed Liam repeatedly pleaded for his father's forgiveness, but was consistently refused. Charged with attempted first-degree murder and aggravated assault, Liam faced trial without his father's attendance or any expression of mercy. Given Liam's age of 12 below the legal age for adult sentencing, the judge ultimately sentenced him to 2 years in detention. Do you consider this sentence fair?
My family's in Tennessee. Everything I got scars.
Juanita Fitzgerald, 93, was arrested and taken to jail after refusing to leave her Florida nursing home when served with an eviction notice, a case that has sparked nationwide concern over elder abuse in long-term care facilities. Fitzgerald had lived at Franklin House, a senior residence managed by National Church Residences, since 2011. The organization claimed she stopped paying rent because she believed she didn't have much time left. But Fitzgerald tells a different story. She insists the facility refused to accept her payments. She also filed multiple complaints about mold in her apartment, concerns the management dismissed, saying inspections revealed no issues. When told she had to leave, the elderly woman refused to back down. Her response? "I'm not going anywhere unless you carry me out." And that's exactly what happened. Police physically removed her and placed her in jail. Authorities did attempt to contact her family and outside support services, but Fitzgerald declined all help. In a tearful jailhouse interview, she said, "I have no one. My family is in Tennessee. I told them not to get involved. I don't want their help. I don't need their help. The help I needed, I never got." Her arrest has sparked widespread outrage and renewed debate about how society treats its most vulnerable citizens. Is this how we care for our elderly? Sound off in the comments. Your voice matters.
So this parking meter official suddenly realized one day that no one would actually notice if he just stole some quarters. You see, since Jeffrey Dadai was the one responsible for emptying all these parking meters in the first place, there was no way his boss would know if his stash was a few dollars short. The total amount was only counted after Jeffrey dropped these coins off. So from then on, he simply began stealing a bit here and there from every single parking meter he emptied. Since there were just so many meters in his area, before long, he was pocketing between $200 to $600 in free quarters every week. Jeffrey probably thought he'd hit the jackpot since there was no way for him to ever be caught. As it turns out, he was actually right. There really wasn't a way. But little did he know, it wouldn't even matter since he would soon accidentally turn himself in. You see, every time Jeffrey was depositing his stolen coins, he would not only use the bank branch right near his parking meters, he would also still even be wearing his parking uniform. But somehow, these bank workers never asked questions. And it was only 5 years later that they finally became suspicious about his uniform and reported him to the police. By then, Jeffrey had already stolen more than $90,000. After he was arrested, he was forced to pay everything back and also spent 17 days in jail. Jeffrey later said this ruined his life since he lost his job and his wife also left him.
A security guard killed 3 teenagers who robbed their homes, and now their parents are charging the security guard and demanding his arrest. The surveillance footage shows 3 armed criminals climbing over a company's fence, holding weapons and attempting to rob the security guard. The boy wearing a red shirt and a hood began to climb up the stairs. He forcefully kicked the door of the security room in an attempt to break in. The homeowner quickly took countermeasures to protect himself. He reached out his arm from the window and fired back. The young man in red was hit and fell down the stairs. The other 2 people panicked and ran away when they saw him, but they were also hit. One person was shot through the leg and jumped on one foot to escape, eventually deceased on the road. Another teenager, although also hit, fled the scene. The man in red stumbled and ran away for a distance before deceased next to his companion. After the incident, the parents of 3 teenagers requested to sue the security guard, claiming that he took the lives of 3 sons and believed that the security guard's counterattack was excessive. They requested the judge to arrest him, but the judge stated that the security guard had complete identification documents and their actions were legitimate self-defense, and rejected the parents' demands in accordance with the law.
Impactante suceso. Un hombre de 53 años fue golpeado hasta la muerte tras una acalorada discusión en una carretera pública. Los hechos ocurrieron el 21 de octubre a las 22:18, cuando Cari Aliaga, de 53 años, bajó de un taxi junto a su agresor en una calle transitada y bien iluminada. El video de vigilancia muestra que los 3, Cari, el atacante y otra persona, conversaron brevemente antes de que la situación se volviera tensa. En cuestión de segundos, la discusión se tornó violenta, el agresor derribó a Cari y le dio al menos 18 puñetazos. Pero su furia no cesó, continuó golpeándole y pisándole la cara y la cabeza, incluso mientras la víctima yacía en el suelo. Aunque algunos transeúntes intentaron detenerlo, el atacante huyó del lugar. Un testigo llamó a la policía, que trasladó de inmediato a Cari al hospital, donde fue declarado muerto horas después. 5 horas más tarde, fue arrestado Marco Sainz, de 39 años, gracias a las cámaras de seguridad. La familia exigió un castigo ejemplar, mientras la defensa alegó legítima defensa. Un caso que estremeció a todos y deja una pregunta inquietante: ¿defensa o violencia desmedida?
A 19-year-old out to buy his grandfather some socks came across a bag with $135,000 just sitting near a Wells Fargo ATM in Albuquerque. Jose Nunez Romanes told CBS affiliate KRQE he called the number on the ATM, then police, because he knew trying to keep the money meant he would have to deal with mom.
Back of my head, I was just thinking about my parents, especially my mom. What would she would do if I came home with the money, and what she would do with her chancla to hit me.
It turns out the Wells Fargo subcontractor whose job it is to fill the ATM left the cash there by accident. The mayor and police chief recognized Nunez for doing the right thing when no one was looking and invited him to apply as a public safety officer while still in school. Nunez also got a $500 check from New Mexico energy provider PNM, a gift card, and $500 cash from a local restaurant. Ryan Urlacher. Nunez told the New York Times he's wanted to be a crime scene investigator.
Última hora en Estados Unidos. Lo que comenzó como una hora pico en una estación de metro terminó en tragedia. Una abuela de 72 años y su nieto de 26 murieron tras caer a las vías y ser arrollados por un tren, luego de una discusión por la casa familiar. Según la investigación, el nieto, Alex M., quería vender la vivienda ancestral para invertir en criptomonedas y ganar dinero rápido. Su abuela, Ellen K., se negó, diciendo que la casa conservaba recuerdos de su difunto esposo. Familiares aseguran que Ellen llevaba meses sin dormir por la presión. Testigos dijeron que discutían cerca del borde del andén. Alex habría gritado que ella no se adaptaba a los tiempos. En un arrebato, Ellen empujó su hombro y él perdió el equilibrio, cayendo a las vías. En pánico, ella saltó tras él. Segundos después, llegó el tren. En la mochila de Alex, la policía halló un contrato de venta firmado, una cita inmobiliaria y una billetera cripto con más de $41,000 en pérdidas. En redes, muchos lo llaman una tragedia de la era del dinero rápido.
A routine traffic stop on Interstate 40 in Oklahoma. 16-year-old Mason just bought a new car. Hadn't even gotten his permanent plates yet. A county deputy pulled him over, checked everything out, and was about to let him go while they were still talking. In a split second, Mason's brand new car was crushed into twisted metal. The front end completely mangled. The teen trapped inside the driver's seat, unable to move. The deputy was thrown back and injured too. Mason was rushed to the hospital. The diagnosis was devastating. Brain bleeding and swelling. At least 8 broken ribs. The deputy's physical injuries weren't as severe, but the psychological trauma haunted him. He later said he has nightmares 3 to 4 times a week. The crash investigation came back quickly. The pickup driver fell asleep at the wheel that morning and plowed straight into the traffic stop. But that's not where this story ends. Mason's father is a state senator. His son nearly died. He was furious. First, he pushed through a new law called Mason's Law, then filed a $75,000 claim against the state and Canadian county. No response came within the deadline. Claim denied by default. In September 2025, the senator sued everyone. The lawsuit claims the rescue was too slow. Mason was trapped in the wreckage. Officers waited 10 minutes before checking on him. So here's the question. Do you think the senator father did the right thing, suing the cops and rescue teams? Or is this just a powerful politician pulling strings? Drop your thoughts in the comments.
Get out of the car! Get on the ground! Now!
Hey, officer, look, my hands are up. I'm just trying
Hands where I can see them, Sterling!
I'm reaching for my ID, that's all.
Let me
lay
down! Face down in the dirt! Don't make me shoot! Please! Down! Get down!
It is 9 a.m. on a sunny Saturday. A quiet Shell gas station in an upscale suburb. Officer Mark Bradley thinks he just caught a car thief. He sees a black man. He sees a $100,000 Cadillac Escalade, and he makes a fatal assumption. He forces the driver face down into the oil-stained concrete. He humiliates him in front of his terrified 8-year-old son. Bradley feels powerful. He feels in control. But he is dead wrong. Because the man he is currently assaulting isn't a criminal, he is federal judge Elias Sterling, and the dashcam recording silently above them is about to turn this officer's career into dust. This isn't just a traffic stop, it is a $2.5 million mistake. Before we continue, let me know in the comments where you're watching from right now. Whether you're in the US, the UK, Canada, Africa, or anywhere else in the world, I want to hear from you. And if you're new here, please take a second to hit that subscribe button. It really helps this channel grow and allows us to keep bringing you stories like this. Now, let's get back to what happened. To understand the colossal magnitude of the mistake about to unfold, we first need to understand the man behind the wheel. Meet Elias Sterling. If you walked into the federal district court on any given weekday, the atmosphere would be very different. You would see Elias in his element, draped in the heavy black robes of the judiciary. For over 20 years, the Honorable Judge Sterling has been a titan of the American legal system. He is a man who has presided over high-profile organized crime trials and complex constitutional battles. When he strikes his gavel, courtrooms fall silent. When he speaks, his words literally shape the law. He is a man who has dedicated his entire life to upholding justice, order, and the dignity of the Constitution. But today, the gavel is left in chambers. Today is Saturday. And on Saturdays, Elias Sterling isn't Your Honor. He is just a husband to his wife, Sarah, and a father to his 8-year-old son, Leo. Look closely at him now.
Oh my God!
Este hombre podría tener que pagar $300,000 por haber salvado la vida de un bebé, aunque accidentalmente le fracturó el brazo. La madre del bebé demandó pidiendo esa cantidad para cubrir los gastos médicos. En Orlando, Florida, David Walker caminaba por la calle cuando escuchó un grito proveniente de un edificio. Al mirar hacia arriba, vio a un bebé que se caía del balcón del 4º piso. Sin pensarlo, extendió los brazos y logró atraparlo antes de que cayera al vacío. Luego, entregó al bebé a su madre, quien corrió a recibirlo, agradeciendo a David por su valentía. Sin embargo, 3 días después, David recibió una citación judicial. La madre lo acusaba de haberle roto el brazo al bebé y le exigía $300,000 de indemnización. En el tribunal, David, llorando, explicó que solo quería salvar al niño y nunca tuvo intención de hacerle daño. Su abogado argumentó que, bajo la ley de Florida, debía ser considerado un salvador y no un agresor, ya que su acción no fue culpable. Pero el juez y el jurado decidieron que, aunque David estuviera cubierto por la ley del buen samaritano, las consecuencias de su acción fueron graves. Así que lo condenaron a pagar $10,000 en indemnización. David, decepcionado con el fallo, dijo que nunca más intervendría en los problemas ajenos. ¿Crees que este juicio fue justo? Déjanos tu opinión en los comentarios.
I'm gonna fucking kill you!
To protect her 5-year-old daughter, a single mother shot and killed a road rage attacker on the street and now faces the possibility of life in prison. At the time, Catherine was hurrying to the hospital with her feverish daughter when she approached an intersection blocked by an SUV. Catherine lightly tooted her horn, but the SUV's owner, Jack Cooper, suddenly got out and began shouting uncontrollably. He even jumped onto her hood, threatening to kill her. Terrified, Catherine warned that she would call the police, but Jack did not stop. He even tried to pry open her car door. As the situation grew increasingly dangerous, Catherine was forced to fire her gun, and by the time the police arrived, Jack showed no signs of life. In the interrogation room, Catherine broke down in tears, saying she never intended to kill him. She just wanted to protect her young daughter. In court, the prosecution argued that Catherine used excessive force in her self-defense, stating that she could have simply stayed in her car and waited for the police to arrive. However, the judge reviewed the surveillance footage multiple times, including the man's attack and Catherine's actions in self-defense. The judge believed that Catherine was genuinely facing a real threat, and in that